What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about one specific mission in Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this is going to contain spoilers, so we're about to cut it off right now. If you don't want to know, this is towards the back half of the game, and it's the second to last trial of the entire game, and we're talking in this video about the Neem Fitzgerald trial. I do believe that's how she says her own name in this mission, but let's talk about it. I actually think it's almost a duo of missions. The mission right before it is the Polyjuice plot, which is when you disguise yourself as Headmaster Black. I love that mission. I love going around. I love talking to the people you're supposed to talk to, being overly aggressive, right? Kind of coming off in a really weird way, a way that even Headmaster Black wouldn't. But then you get to Professor Fitzgerald's trial, and I just think this is a home run of a mission. Now, I'm about one or two missions after this in my playthrough. I'm just about done with the game. So far, it's not even remotely close. This is the best mission of the entire game. I want to make that a statement, but, I haven't played the ending. Maybe the ending is spectacular, but this mission is just far and away the best one up until the point that you play this mission. And so it's doing the Deathly Hallows, right? It's incredible. And to me, it reminds me of a couple different things. I think the first thing, obviously, that stands out is this kind of like folk fairy tale kind of drawing-esque thing. Now, I think, firstly, hearkening towards the Deathly Hallows story that you see in Harry Potter, honestly, one of the greatest sequences in the Harry Potter films is the telling of the Deathly Hallows. I think that's just not even just the story. I mean, the story is actually extremely good, and that's something I do want to focus on with this mission as well. It's not just the visuals, right? The art style is always something that's going to catch me pretty much immediately. It's the first thing that you see when you're in the mission, right? Even before you start to hear stuff, you start to see all the colors being stripped away, and it's like, oh my God, what are they doing? And then you finally start to, you start to realize it. So from a visual standpoint, looks incredible, reminds me obviously of the Deathly Hallows, but also I had said on Twitter, the Unfinished Swan. Now, I think obviously the Unfinished Swan was doing things that had come before it, right? But when I think of some of my favorite games of all time and like the color design, the art design, the Unfinished Swan is up there. It is a phenomenal game just to look at, both when it doesn't have its color, right? And it's just kind of these shaders, and then also when you start to paint everything. Now, in this, there is no color. You don't have like a painting section where you start to bring kind of life to it. So I think in terms of the art department, anybody who did anything in terms of touching the visual look of this mission at Avalanche deserves just a round of applause, or at least they will get one directly from me. But honestly, it's even beyond that. I think from just a narrative, I think how it's put together, this mission is so different. Honestly, the first two trials, and we'll see about the fourth trial. I actually haven't gotten to the fourth trial as of the time I'm recording this, and please don't spoil it in the comments, but the first two trials are repetitive. They're, in terms of what you're doing, the puzzle solving is different, but when you get to the end, you're still fighting, the knight statues, and then you fight the exact same boss. I think they may have one additional move, but it's the exact same thing. Honestly, pretty disappointing in terms of that. This one, to be honest with you, I was expecting the exact same thing. Now, maybe the fourth trial is the same as 1 and 2, but it's just, to me, it caught me off guard that as soon as you open the book, right, and you get teleported in, I was honestly expecting, okay, let's go through the puzzle solving stuff and then we'll fight the boss kind of at the end. It still has a similar approach to other things where, you have to do puzzle-like things. Now, the puzzle-like things in this one is just stealth, right? You're just trying to get from point A to point B. But then they're introducing the Deathly Hallows, all three of them. And then you have kind of your end fight, right? And then you're done. So in terms of the gameplay, that's what you're doing. And I would say it's very different than the other two. So that was one thing that really caught me off guard. Maybe it was kind of lowered expectations, but honestly, I think I could have had the highest expectations in the world and still wouldn't have expected, to go through this, because it just catches you immediately with the visual style. And then when you're playing it, well, the enemies are fantastic, right? The idea of death and how these enemies all look, terrifying, like actually terrifying. They also just look really, really cool. And then those Deathly Hallows. So, a lot of it also is built on nostalgia, right? Which this game has, built in basically throughout the entire game. But in terms of the missions, and I will give them a lot of credit, there's a lot of originality, right? They're telling their own story. They're doing stuff that hasn't been done before in terms of, the narrative side. And for this, now it was kind of a mixture, right? Because it was still telling the tale. It was still leading to Professor Fitzgerald's memory, which we'll get there at the end of it, because I actually think these looking back, these flashback sequences are some of the coolest in the entire game, and they tell a really, really powerful story. Now, again, I'm not at the end of it, but up until this point, so far, so good. But you do have the nostalgia. And just, being able to go around using a spell first, right, to remain invisible. But then when you get the invisibility cloak and you can just walk through, and they make it a point that you have to, you just walk through everybody, right, and you can't be seen. It's phenomenal. Then you get the Elder Wand, and you just feel immensely powerful. Now, this is where, honestly, having the DualSense controller on PlayStation 5, I think that really came in handy, even as if you don't like the gimmick, right? And that's okay if you don't like the gimmick, but I think it kind of just enhanced the power of the wand. Like, I truly do believe that, because every move that you make, every just R2 hits, just a normal spell, there was that extra kind of punch behind it, even coming through the controller. You could feel it in the game. You could see it in the game when you use the specific spells. So they only give you the 4 spells to use, right? A lot of them are instant kills, right? So they're making it very powerful. You feel powerful. But even just that extra thing, and yeah, again, it is a gimmick, but still, it's incredible. And it just adds an extra layer to, oh, you're so powerful. You are so immensely powerful. And then you have the stone at the end. So, again, the nostalgia certainly helped. Like, you can't help but know that they're telling a story. They're using the Deathly Hallows to get you from one point to the next. You see the Deathly Hallows, kind of their history, both in how they originated and then obviously what they're going to be used towards actually in the future, right? So you get all that. You have an art style that, harkens to that story. But for me, it was kind of half and half. I was thinking of other things while playing it. And then, again, even from just a level perspective, I really liked it. I liked how it was set up. It felt different from a lot of the other quests. And then you get to the end and you see the memory. Now, again, the memories have been really, really good. I've really liked them. I think they're pretty predictable. If there was one weakness, I would say, and that's not necessarily an issue with this one. It's an issue with maybe all of them. You can kind of see what's going to happen, that she's getting more kind of dark, and she's doing it for a righteous purpose, but she's kind of losing herself to it, right? Like, you can see that probably within like the second flashback scene, but it continues to get, I would say, darker, and it continues to get more serious, the flashbacks. And I love it. I really do love it. And it was one of the better, I would say, flashbacks of the entire game that we had so far. So just from start to finish, and again, I mean, it's not even remotely close in my opinion. Nostalgia helps it, but I just think because of the visuals, because it is factually different, because they mix things up quite a bit, right? It's stealth at one point, then it's heavy just battling, but you're so much more powerful, right? And it's also kind of telling a story as it's going through, and it's also depicted kind of as a storybook kind of thing, right? It's incredible. This is an incredible mission. Everybody there that worked on this mission should feel really, really good. And I have been told that it doesn't get better. Like, this was probably the peak of the game. That sucks a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, I get it, because this is so good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.